This guy is remarkable when it comes to movies, when it comes to music, when it comes to streaming. He is a writer. He is a brilliant mind when it comes to the arts. He graces us on Fridays, and he comes and goes on Rainbow. How about it for the great Michael Snyder, the culture blaster? Michael, I wish I could be with you for this, and I'm really sorry I cannot. Thank you for being understanding.
No, I totally get it, and I'm, of course, tickled by the sound of the rainbow. But I just want to point out, from here on in, you can refer to me as Mark's Madness runner-up, Michael Snyder. By the way, I'm not trying to quibble because that's not my way.
Sure.
But I actually had the best average of picking wins over losses of anybody in the entire competition. And I call it a competition.
Kamish, were you aware of this? Apparently, Michael Snyder feels that he was, at least in terms of winners and losers, he had one of the best records, if the best record in the competition.
I mean, at the end of the day, Mark, you were on top, so I think that's the only.
Thank you, Albert, and that's why we love Albert right
this
there.
Sounds like Mark
Albert, thank you.
Yeah.
Mark put in a call to Elon. I know how this happened. Anyway,
it was awkward to win my own
I know.
competition.
We're all like the eye rolling could be heard from coast to coast.
Yes.
I want to point out that the Culture Blast this Friday is brought to you by the Comic Book Boys. And as a comic book collector, and I know, Mark, you have a couple of valuable items in your purview. And as a comic book collector and a guy that wanted to basically monetize a decades-long collection of comic books, I turned to the Comic Book Boys, who are based in Orange County and easy access from Los Angeles. So they will travel anywhere in the country to pick up the considerable collections and then assess them and monetize them through various bidding wars, and they do eBay, they have warehouse sales, and what they're really great at doing is, again, figuring out the value of your comics, and if they're not in the most perfect shape, they have comic book presses, they tidy things up, they rate them, and they get the best bang for your buck, or the best buck for your bang. I don't know. I do know the comic book store that I used to go to would be jealous of the kind of sales these guys do. And also, one more quick note about the Comic Book Boys. You can actually check them out at cbbauctions.com. And also, if you're looking to purchase comic books, they're a wonderful pipeline to that. And again, Mark, if you ever decide to sell your Batman from the 1940s, I think these guys are the people to turn to.
Well, my Batman from the 1940s, Michael, is worth over $2 million, and so I want to hang on to it and let it appreciate. I'm going for $3 million. What with it? Yeah, you can understand. I have my Fantastic Four, which is also from the 60s. That would go for about high ones, low twos. Is that right?
I really don't know. You'll have to ask Chris and the gang at the Comic Book Boys. Check in with them again, cbbauctions.com.
I'm excited about the Comic Book Boys, cbbauctions.com. And I have to tell you this, Kim, that Michael had an apartment in San Francisco. He still has it. And it was filled with comics that were, he had them all organized. But I mean, when I say filled, it looked like the old Tower Records, filled with these incredible collector. And the fact that the Comic Book Boys were able to go through there and, figure out, they figured out what it was worth, and they gave you a nice price for everything. It's cool.
They did. And they let me, I asked them, if you run across this book or that book, I'd like to hold on to it. They were totally great about that. So check in with them. And, it's a Good Friday. No. It's a great Friday, even for Good Friday. And that means that Easter Sunday is only 2 days away. And I think it's going to be a weird Easter since eggs are too expensive to dye and hide on a lawn for the kiddies. I mean, the cost is to die for, Anyway, here's a couple quick reminders. Smoking Easter grass is still illegal in some states.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that.
And you are on your own when it comes to Peeps. I'm afraid of the new Peeps flavors. Have you seen
Where are my weed smokers at?
Cinnamon churro. Breyer's Cookies and Cream, Tropical Punch, Rice Krispie Treats, Chocolate Pudding, and of course,
No.
Dr. Pepper flavored Peeps. If there was ever a sign of the impending apocalypse, it's Dr. Pepper flavored Peeps, no question.
Happy Easter to you too. You know, tomorrow in Petaluma we have the Butter and Eggs Day parade. So that's
cool.
Great. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Butter and eggs really always needed a parade. I'm glad to see they're finally getting the
That's not fake. That's real.
Kids, go at it. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right.
Michael Snyder, go for it.
Take care, Mark. Let's get to movies, Kim. It's you and me now. We've got control of the ship. What do you say?
I really like it. I really like it. I'm still stuck on Dr. Pepper flavored Peeps. I did not see those in the store this year, and I have to go look for them now. I don't know.
Do you think they're carbonated?
That when you bite them in there, you kind of get the Pop Rocks effect.
Go full Dr. Pepper. Come on. Okay.
It sounds really gross.
Movies.
I don't know.
Well, we're going to do movies. Easily one of the best and most exciting movies of the year, Sinners, is the latest from screenwriter-director Ryan Coogler. And as a Bay Area guy, even though I'm in LA at the moment, I'm proud of Ryan Coogler, an Oakland, California native whose career got kick-started by the indie drama Fruitvale Station, and who went on to blockbuster status with 3 massive hits, Marvel's Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, and the Rocky sequel Creed. And now he's got his own potential franchise with Sinners. This is a sprawling vampire movie set in the Depression-era South, complete with memorable characters, loads of country blues, lots of great music in this thing, and some serious heat. So supernatural horror was never so spectacular and deeply soulful. Set in Clarksdale, Mississippi, which is considered by some to be the cradle of the country blues, twin brothers Smoke and Stack, like Smokestack Lightning, Smoke and Stack, who have dabbled in criminal enterprises up north in Chicago and thereabouts. They come home to Clarksdale to open up their own juke joint on the outskirts of town. Little do they know that an ancient evil is lurking around the area and awaiting the setting sun in order to possess a local with musical skills so magical that it can cut through time and space. And then there's, the local chapter of the Ku Klux Klan, who were pretty horrifying on their own. The cast here is superb, led by
what's worse, Michael? What's worse, the KKK or vampires?
It's really a toss-up. You'll see. You'll see. If you see the movie, you'll know it's a toss-up.
Okay.
Anyway, the cast is led by a previous Coogler collaborator, Michael B. Jordan, as the twins. Yes, he plays both of them, Smoke and Stack, and the technology has continued to grow in power. When you're watching it, it leaves no doubt that you're watching 2 distinct twins interacting with one another in the many scenes they share, so to speak. So it's Jordan playing opposite Jordan. And oh my God, you never doubt for a second that there's 2 people there. You also get Haley Steinfeld, who was in the Marvel miniseries Hawkeye. She plays Mary, another former local who has returned to Clarksdale and has eyes to resume a relationship with one of the brothers. Wunmi Mosaku from Marvel's Loki as Annie, the other brother's ex, who is she's still dealing with a tragedy from their shared past. The great Delroy Lindo is a townie whose heavy drinking doesn't stop him from being a badass. Jack O'Connell, who played opposite Marissa Abella in in Back to Back, the wonderful documentary. It was not a documentary; it was a biopic about the singer, the late singer with the black beehive hairdo. You know who I'm talking about. She passed away. We've already forgotten Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse, yeah.
Yeah, and he plays a very shady white guy who really needs to shade. And newcomer Miles Caton as the preacher's son, Sammy Moore, who has vocal powers and an expertise on the guitar that are positively transcendent. Sinners damn near explodes off the screen. I'm not saying that Coogler is a generational filmmaker, but he is absolutely one of the best out there right now. As I suggested, his contributions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe were phenomenal. And if Sinner is any indication, get ready for the Coogler Cinematic Universe, because he could spin off some stuff from this thing. I really loved it. It is currently in theaters, and it's one of those times you go to the movies and you leave and you feel energized and excited by what you just sat through.
Is it based on a book, or did he write it too?
No, it's completely an original. Yeah, obviously it pays homage to certain things like the blues and classic vampire movies and such, but it's an original story, and it worked on so many levels. Okay, let's move on. The strangeness and idiosyncrasy of filmmaker David Cronenberg marked really bold and brilliant movies of his, such as A History of Violence, Eastern Promises, The Fly, Crash, and Videodrome, as well as the recent and comparatively dissatisfying Crimes of the Future. But his daring is on display again in his latest, The Shrouds. Now, this is a reflection on love and funereal misery in a near future situation that involves some science fictional elements. I wanted to love it, and I appreciated his unmistakable weirdness at play as his lead character, Karsh, who is embodied by the charismatic French actor Vincent Cassel, oversees a new technology for graveyards that allows the living to look at the decaying corpses of their loved ones, whether they want to or not, I don't know, but they can do it through an X-ray type imaging system that actually may allow contact with the dead.
Why do we want to see that? Like, why would you want to watch your loved one wither away into dust?
You ask the characters in this movie. The whole thing becomes all too abstruse. You can look that word up. I think it's a ding word, abstruse.
I'll ding it. Yeah.
The Shrouds does provide German actress Diane Kruger from Inglourious Bastards and the wonderful TV miniseries The Bridge with multiple roles to play. 2 sisters and an AI assistant, and she is fantastic in both of these extremely different parts. Plus, no less than Guy Pearce is on board as a sort of mad scientist who was crucial in the development of Karsh's system. The movie is, like many of Cronenberg's projects, ghoulish and bizarre, with bits of body horror, black humor, and implied philosophical musings, but it's also a bit of a stiff, joke intended, compared to some of his previous livelier releases. The Shrouds is in select theaters starting today.
And just in case people don't know what it means, because I just had to look it up, here's abstruse for you. Difficult to understand. Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
I appreciate that one. Okay.
I do what I can. Okay. So remaking a near perfect Asian LGBTQ plus themed romantic comedy would seem to be unnecessary. Hey, it was near perfect. But director and co-screenwriter Andrew Ahn went ahead and delivered a loving and witty reimagining of Ang Lee's delightful 1993 movie, The Wedding Banquet. The original is about a bisexual Taiwanese immigrant who agrees to marry a Chinese woman to get her a green card and has to hide his male lover from his tradition-minded parents when they come to the U.S. to throw a lavish wedding for their son and his betrothed. In the new version, you have gay couple Min and Chris, played by Hanji Chan, and Saturday Night Live cast member Bowen Yang. And these guys rent a cottage from cash-strapped lesbians, Lee and Angela. And the women are trying to have a child via very costly IVF. The women are played by Oscar winner Lily Gladstone of Killers of the Flower Moon and Kelly Marie Tran, who had a supporting role in the last Star Wars trilogy. The guys want to get a green card for Min, who comes from money, so they propose that Min marry Angela, and in exchange, Min will pay for the expensive IVF treatment. All is well until Min's family arrives from Korea. Since Min has kept his homosexuality a secret from his relatives, it's not going to be so easy, as Min's grandmother foots the bill for this elaborate wedding and is at close quarters with the two couples. By the way, Oscar winner Yoon Yeon Chang from Minari plays the grandmother, and the acclaimed Joan Chen plays Angela's mom. So there's some serious talent here, and everybody is a treat. Even Bowen Yang, again playing Bowen Yang, as he tends to do in everything, from his sketch work on SNL to his movie roles in Wicked and Fire Island. In The Wedding Banquet, he has never been better on screen, delivering a performance that garners laughs and genuine sympathy. If you are looking for something suffused with warmth, humanity, and sweetness, look no further than The Wedding Banquet, which is in theaters starting today.
John Watson is asking if it's a musical.
No, there's some humming, maybe a few people sing under their breath, but no, nobody's busting into song.
And you like this one?
Yeah, very much. James Shalmas, who's a very renowned screenwriter and director, also co-wrote the screenplay with Andrew Ahn. It's good. Okay, now the movie that I loved, not quite as much as Sinners, but probably more than everything else we talked about today, is The Ugly Stepsister. Now, this is a bracing mix of fantasy, comedy, and horror from Norwegian director and screenwriter Emily Blichfeld. And it is a wonderfully clever, shockingly funny twist on the fairy tale Cinderella, as seen from the point of view of the beautiful and cruelly maligned heroine's stepsisters, and one stepsister in particular. There is more backstory than we've seen in earlier versions of the fairy tale, keeping focus of the circumstances on Elvira, played by Lee Myron, and boy, she is a find. She plays the homely girl of the title, who dreams of being beautiful and desired. There's also her quiet younger sister and her ambitious widowed mother, played by Ane Dahl Torp, from the awesome disaster movies The Wave and The Quake. If you haven't seen them, they're Scandinavian disaster films, and they're as good as they get. And Torp is really wonderful. And the mom has married a seemingly well-to-do widower, but upon the death of the widower, the family fortunes take a hit. So mom enrolls her eldest in etiquette lessons and pays for gruesome medical procedures to turn the derided Elvira into a young lady who will catch the eye of the local, almost Byronic prince at a grand ball where he plans to choose a wife. It also has in-story reasons for the abuse of the widower's daughter, Agnes, played by Thea Sophie Loch-Ness, who is saddled with the nickname Cinderella and is more of a supporting character here. Ultimately, The Ugly Stepsister is about the lengths that women will take, no matter how extreme, to live up to society's standards of beauty and earn the approval of those they covet. This elegantly shot movie is dark, disturbing, and yet sympathetic to the plight of poor Elvira, again, magnificently played by Myron with remarkable comic timing and poignance. She's a laughingstock who yearns to be more and thus goes through a transformation that literally poisons her. Is it a case of happily never after? You're going to have to check it out to know, and I recommend that you do. The Ugly Stepsister is in selected theaters.
Fascinating, the take on the backstory of the stepsister. The movie poster freaks me out, but the story sounds really interesting.
Well, it is. There are horror elements here, and you've got to be ready for that, much like Sinners. But
I love you. You're preparing me. This is good. Okay.
Yeah, they're both really, really good films. Okay, let's zip through a few more before we move on to maybe some TV recommendations. Despite echoes of other movies about demons and possession, It Feeds works well thanks to a couple of fresh elements in its mythology, which is built around a succubus-like demon that functions like an infection and can be passed on from person to person under the right or, I don't know, properly wrong circumstances. And it is sold by the commitment of the actors, especially the woefully underrated Ashley Greene. We don't see her enough. She plays a gifted psychic therapist, not psychotherapist, and Ellie O'Brien, who plays her teen daughter, who may share the same psychic gifts as her mother and late father. The demon itself is pretty scary as designed and executed. There is a tragic story about a young girl who is seemingly possessed and the father who's trying to protect her, and everything kind of boils over and comes to a head. I thought it was really well executed for what it is. And I also am going to say to anyone who doesn't like horror movies, this isn't for you. But for those of us who do, director and screenwriter Chad Archibald really hit the nail on the head, if you will. I thought it it fed my dark soul. How's that? I enjoyed
That's
watching
good.
it.
All right.
Okay. Moving on. Yeah, I hate when I have to diss something that's meant for the entire family. One look will tell you that Sneaks does not have the fluidity and expressive character design of Pixar, Illumination, or Aardman Animation. It was definitely made for many millions less than movies from those studios. And if I was not on board with the anthropomorphic cars of Pixar's Cars, which were creatively rendered on screen and scripted by really savvy screenwriters, Sneaks, with its talking ambulatory sneakers and groaner of a screenplay, was not going to touch my soul or my laces. And, I have to admit that it makes me feel like a heel for not liking it. But anyway, the main thrust of the story is that a nice kid with serious basketball skills has crappy sneakers that are falling apart. He attends a sneaker expo in New York City. I think those things kind of exist. And in a lottery there, wins a pair of fancy designer sneakers, also colloquially known as kicks. But those sneaks are stolen by a collector of high-end limited edition sneakers before our young hero can put on his and show off his skills at a midnight basketball tournament. Yeah, it's nice to see a feature cartoon that embraces street culture and hip-hop music, and there are name actors handling much of the voice work, including Anthony Mackie and Martin Lawrence as respectively one of the stolen designer sneakers and a tossed-away, worn-out Streetwise sneaker. You got Lawrence Fishburne as the ruthless collector, but none of that raises Sneaks the movie out of the realm of well-meaning but kind of cranked out and targeted product. I mean, the constant dad jokes, if dad was an old ratty pair of kids, didn't amuse me. Little kids may well love it. It's got a lot of bright colors and a slobbering bulldog that belongs to the collector. That's always a winner in the younger set. As for me, I got no kicks from Sneaks. It's in theaters.
All right. Sneaks is a no-go, huh?
Yeah, I just wasn't buying those sneaks. Let's wrap things up on the movie front with G20, which people can watch at Amazon Prime Video. I prefer G20 when it was a little more claustrophobic, focused, and plausible, and called Air Force One. The one where the president is on a plane with terrorists and has to figure out a way out, and he's kind of a tough guy. Anyway, as for G20, it's not a bad time burner on a slow Friday night at home. Viola Davis is Harrison Ford. I'm sorry, I mean President Danielle Sutton, with a loyal stand-up first gentleman played by Anthony Anderson, a rebellious teenage daughter with super hacker skills, of course, and a genial scholar for a teenage son, not to mention the global monetary system in the balance. She's got a lot to fight for when crypto terrorists invade a G20 economic summit in South Africa and try to hold the leaders of 20 nations and their spouses hostage. And as an ex-soldier, President Danielle fights, and she fights back. The fantasy of a noble, empathic, athletic POTUS seems light years away from the harsh, base reality we're now facing, no? And the fact that she's an able-bodied Black woman is even more of a departure from the bloated orange man thing haunting the white supremacist house right now. So it is a little fantastical, but I enjoyed watching G20. I just didn't think it was greatness, and again, somewhat derivative of other movies that we're familiar with.
All right. This is one of those movies where I think I would just wait till it was, it is streaming. You say it's on Prime, where I would put it on kind of in the background as I was doing other stuff. And it kind of is amusing and entertaining, but you don't have to super pay attention. I don't know.
Yeah, you can put your brain on hold watching something like this.
Thank you.
Just go with Viola. She'll take you where you need to go on G20. So, it's always fun to throw in a few television recommendations, is it not?
Yes.
So I'll quickly just say that I have been, again, I hate to keep leaning into the horror genre, but I have been having an absolute ball watching The Bondsman on Amazon Prime. The Bondsman stars Kevin Bacon as a bounty hunter, a bondsman named Hub Halloran, who was married to a local and extremely talented country and Western singer, played by Jennifer Nettles, and their relationship fell apart. And when Hub is murdered by the guy that the ex-wife is now seeing, and who is now, this guy is also kind of trying to co-parent the son that Hub and his ex-wife had, who's obviously got musical talent inherited from his parents. This guy tries to kill Hub and succeeds, except he's brought back from the dead to chase down demons who are escaping from hell as his penance, because he himself did something very bad, albeit inadvertent, that has basically doomed him to eternal fire. I got a massive kick out of this, and I enjoyed it. I think there's 8 episodes in the first season. There is a bit of a cliffhanger. It's just well done. Creative director David Granger wrote a bunch of the various episodes. And I love seeing Beth Grant, who's a terrific character actress, playing Hub's mom, Kitty, spunky, feisty, good with a gun, no nonsense. And Damon Harriman, who is an Aussie actor who played, he plays villains, generally speaking. He's on board here as the new boyfriend to the ex-wife. High marks for me. But again, I don't know that it's necessarily your cup of tea, Kim.
He's got a chainsaw in his hand. So you say this is a horror one, right? Just to clarify.
Yeah, it gets pretty grisly. So I don't think it's your cup of tea. But if you do want something a little scary and creepy, the latest season, season 9, 8, I don't know, of Black Mirror is on Netflix, and it is fantastic. It includes a sequel to the Emmy-winning USS Callister episode, which features Kristen Milioti and a cast of really talented actors going at it. And it's all about being stuck inside a video simulation of a game. And to say more would do it a disservice, but I will just reiterate that it's great stuff. And there is a wonderful episode called Hotel Reverie, which it does the most amazing reproduction of old film stock. And it stars Issa Rae as a contemporary film actress who is looking for a new vehicle. And she is convinced to star in a remake of Hotel Reverie, which is a classic film from the late 30s. Think Casablanca. And what they're able to do with this technology in this episode is put her into the story. And when inside the story, she meets and interacts with the characters from the 1930s version, one of whom is played and beautifully, I don't want to give anything away, honestly, but it's just inspired and so beautifully executed. So I give incredibly high marks to those 2 episodes, and the others are generally almost as good. And so big recommendation for Black Mirror at the latest season.
I haven't seen any of the Black Mirror seasons. Is it about how technology impacts society, or what's the general kind of gist of the show?
It's Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, sort of, but everything is about, and again, as we discussed earlier, there are movies that couldn't be made like Drop in 1995 because we didn't have the technology. The thing about Charlie Brooker, who is the creator and executive producer and oftentimes the writer of Black Mirror, these technological advances have changed society so much and will continue to do so. And this is about the implicit horror and danger of a lot of these things. And you won't be horrified, particularly by, say, Hotel Reverie. It's not gory or anything, but it is thrilling and exciting and tense making. Again, the word inspired comes to mind.
All right. Should we recap it, my friend?
By all means.
Let's do it. You started with the movie Sinners. You said it's a vampire movie, and you said it nearly explodes off the screen and works on so many levels. You're recommending Sinners. The Shroud.
Right. I do want to, not to interrupt, obviously racism is a major component, of the tension between the vampires and other local townspeople and these 2 Black entrepreneur twin brothers and their patrons at the juke joint. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
And it opens today, Sinners, The Shrouds. You wanted to like this, but I think you had problems with it. And honestly, I got distracted looking up your ding word, abstruse. So I don't know. Yes, this is a recommended, yes?
Only to Cronenberg fans. I think it's a little, kind of, I use the word occasionally, muddled on some level.
Okay.
But the performances are great, especially that of Diane Kruger in multiple roles.
I typed in, he wanted to like it, and then that was all I typed in.
Yeah, I wanted to. I mean, Guy Pearce, Vincent Cassel, and Diane Kruger. What's not to like? Well, if the script feels like a cul-de-sac every third scene, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not quite up to Cronenberg's best.
The Wedding Banquet, you very much like The Wedding Banquet. You said this is a good movie, and you recommend this one. The Ugly Stepsister, boy, you really like this movie. You said it's dark and it's disturbing. Great performances. The Stepsister, you liked it.
And it's funny, too, in a bleak way, honestly.
It feeds. The name alone is a no for me, but you said it works well. You thought this movie was well executed for what it is. So you say if you like horror movies, this movie's going to be a yes. It feeds.
Right. There's a phrase I like to use, good of kind. That's what it feeds is.
Good of kind, right. Not my kind, but good of kind.
Yeah, okay.
Sneaks. This is a no. This is a family movie that just didn't do it for you, Michael Snyder. Well-meaning, you said, but it just looks kind of cranked out. You thought maybe it looked like it didn't have much of a budget. It gave you no kicks, Sneaks, and you say nope.
But wait. The young children would probably get a kick out of it, not me. That's all.
Yeah, there you go. G20 streaming on Amazon. You said it's kind of a new take on Air Force One. Fantastical, but enjoyable. Not greatness. This is not going to go down in history as the great movie, but you said, yeah, this is good enough, right?
Right. It's good enough to watch at home on Amazon Prime, and anything with Viola Davis is going to have a talented performer going at it, and in that case, yeah, I say okay to G20.
Well, your review was enough for me to put it on my Michael Snyder list, so it's there now. As far as streaming, you say The Bondsman is streaming on Amazon Prime as well, and it's Kevin Bacon as a bounty hunter. It is horror genre. You said you got a kick out of this, The Bondsman on Prime.
Yeah. Also, lots of good country and Western music. It's not necessarily my jam, but when it's good, I love it.
And Black Mirror, you say this is fantastic. This is the latest season of Black Mirror on Netflix. You call it inspired. I'm not sure if these episodes stand alone or if I need to go back to the first season and make my way toward the latest. But
they're all standalone except for USS Callister. This season brings a sequel to the wonderful Emmy-winning USS Callister, which again stars Kristen Milioti, who was so good in The Penguin, and the highly regarded Jesse Plemons. I don't want to forget him. He's also in the Callister episode.
Awesome. And this report, your report, is sponsored by the Comic Book Boys, and you can find them at cbbauctions.com. Michael Snyder, you're awesome.
So are you, Kim. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Go Giants. I'm down in LA. I may sneak over to the Angels Stadium in Anaheim to watch the Giants hopefully put it to the Los Angeles Angels. And our Warriors are going up against the Houston Rockets in the first round of the official playoffs. They got in via the play-in tournament. I believe the game is Sunday, so I'm going to be all sportsed out. I have like 4 art openings tomorrow evening. I am a busy boy, Kim.
You are. I was reading a story about that Warriors-Rockets game, and the people in Houston are begging Ted Cruz not to go because they say every time he shows up, the Houston team loses. So they're saying, please don't go to the Warriors game. It's the Cruz curse that's on tap. Yeah.
Do you remember that George W. Bush was an owner of the Texas Rangers, and he kept showing up at games when the Giants and Rangers faced off in the World Series, and the Giants won. So there you go.
There you go. Michael Snyder, thank you. You come and go on a rainbow. Bye, Michael Snyder.
Bye. Happy Easter, everybody.
Bye, happy Easter.